everyone and everything is created with certain tendencies and certain traits. That seems unchangeable, but what if it isn't? Through studies in genomics and gene editing, a process which cuts, analyzes, and recombines DNA, we're discovering that science isn't nearly as rigid as we once thought it was. As the population increases to 9 billion people by the year 2050, we need to find new methods to keep these people up and running, as they are going to face disease and hunger just like you and I. In order to do this, gene editing might be our future, and we're trying to figure out new ways to move forward. We've started projects to help us through this, such as the Human Genome Project, which has stemmed out into other things, such as studying vaccines, evolution, and transgenic and genetically modified organisms. The original purpose of the HGP was to correctly sequence human genes and the genes of other organisms that are important to science, such as fruit flies, fish, and mice. It was also meant for us to try to find new ways to gain this information, which over the course of the 13 years that the project lasted, we were able to accomplish. As we've learned about the human genome, science has given us a better understanding of the disease and illnesses that can come from genes going wrong. According to Stephen Dager from the Science Journal, we are now better able to understand cancer and diabetes, as was promised early on in the Human Genome Project. This is going to lead to medicines being created that can either cure or suppress these illnesses. Besides just us understanding diseases, we are also better understanding where we came from, studying haplotypes, portions of genes that rarely recombine. So when they do, it's obvious that some kind of change has occurred. The project has also stemmed out into smaller projects, such as Vanderbilt University's Human Vaccine Project. As science has become more precise, our medicine needs to as well. If we are able to accomplish new vaccines, we're making humanity stronger and better than ever. However, besides humans, we're also starting to study plants and animals and figuring out new ways to make them better as well. The result of this research are transgenic organisms, or TOs. They contain genetic information from 2 or more sources that are not crossbreedable naturally. Some say that these organisms are unnatural, according to the writings of D.R. Cooley and G.A. Gorham. Examples of these genetically modified organisms would be certain tomato breeds that have fish genes to make them hardier in the winter and more resistant to disease. Since plants aren't the only things that humans consume, we're also looking more into what kind of animal changes that we can make. Scientists study heavily the bioluminescence of zebrafish and perform behavioral studies on Medaka fish, which have minds similar to our own. These species are incredibly controversial, as many say that they violate religious ideas. And perhaps the biggest argument is that there simply isn't enough research to determine what the long-term effects are. However, as we increase our research, we're starting to figure out how to better relate to the public what we are trying to accomplish. Scientists are learning more about these transgenic organisms and are also figuring out other kinds of organisms that require different DNA as well. For example, in a paper published by Virginia Tech, they explain what a cisgenic organism is. And that is an organism that contains DNA from 2 or more sources that can crossbreed naturally. In that same paper, they have also said that they have been able to accomplish an apple that is resistant to fire blight, a disease that can wipe out crops in the blink of an eye. As mentioned earlier, the population of the world is going to increase dramatically by the year 2050. And crops such as this new apple species are going to be what helps us to keep the population running. Some of these plants are created using the CRISPR-Cas9 method, a method that helps these plants build up an immune response and to help scientists make these plants more efficiently. But one of the biggest issues that comes along with this is how the public is going to react. political parties have been going head to head, trying to figure out if they need to label these plants. As many as 30 species have sidestepped USDA regulations, as the USDA has said that it's the FDA's place to regulate it and not theirs. Many want labeling because we don't know what the human effects are long term. Scientists keep trying to find new research, and as that is coming out, the public will not be as afraid of what they do not understand. From the beginnings of the HGP, to the knowledge that we can cure diseases and illnesses that we once thought were incurable, to finding new food sources, it is undeniable that genome editing is a major part of our world's future. Our swiftly increasing population is forcing us to turn away from traditional methods and look more to science, more than ever. We as a species are learning to look at what we previously thought we couldn't change and then figure out how to. Thank you.